The day my greatest enemy was completely ruined, she became my kept woman. Every day, I kept her by my side, slept with her, and her face would turn red with anger. Yet, she endured all the humiliation and tolerated everything. But one day, I caught her talking to someone on the phone in irritation. So what if I didn't go bankrupt? Anyone who says a single wrong word about him will lose everything. Bai Ningbing had gone bankrupt. The once arrogant queen of the business world had turned into a debt-ridden Cinderella overnight. Her old enemies immediately came to drag her down even further. Miss Bai, lick my shoes. I'll give you 10,000. Otherwise, just by selling drinks, you won't be able to pay off your debts even in 10 lifetimes. Bai Ningbing simply lowered her gaze. She stood there, showing neither arrogance nor begging. She just looked helpless and broken. I walked straight up to her, threw a stack of cash in front of the manager, and brought her with me. She said in a flat voice, "Have you come to mock me too?" I looked at her with a half smile and said, "What else?" Upon hearing my words, her face instantly darkened. I threw a pre-prepared contract and a stack of cash in front of her. "Stay with me. I'll give you 10,000 every day." Hearing this, her brows furrowed. "What did you say?" I knew this was a sign of her anger. After all, the whole city knew that the two of us never got along. And now, taking advantage of her downfall, I was humiliating her like this. She must be burning with rage on the inside. I put my hands on my hips and taunted, 10,000 every day. I will keep you with me. Right now, you are drowning in debt. Who else but me is going to help you?" Her fingers began to tremble with anger from the humiliation. I don't know why, but seeing this gave me a strange sense of satisfaction. I threw another stack of cash at her. Red notes scattered all over the floor. "Pick them up, keep them safe, and come with me. Time waits for no one." Bai Ningbing kept looking at me without saying a word. Ultimately, she couldn't resist the lure of the money. She slowly bent her knees and, with deep humiliation written all over her face, began picking up the scattered notes from the floor one by one. Her voice had grown heavy. "Feng Wan, is this how you always help people?" I gave her a light pat on her back and said with a smile, "Don't ask too many questions about your sugar daddy's personal life." Her face grew even more rigid. She used to be my biggest rival. Bai Ningbing always looked down on me, just as she looked down on almost everyone else. But my reason was different. I hated her because I couldn't have her. After all, her face was like a beautiful character from a video game, and her attractive figure could make anyone's heart race. I had thought that I would just quietly burn with jealousy over her for the rest of my life. But who would have thought I'd get such a golden opportunity? She was truly drowning in massive debt. The entire way, she silently obeyed everything I said, as if she were terrified that I might send her back. Even after showering, when I approached her, she just angrily turned her face away and refused to look at me. I grabbed her chin and forced her to look at me. "Bai Ningbing, you know what a girl staying with me has to do, right?" The corners of her eyes turned red. After a long while, she very reluctantly obeyed me. I pulled her toward me again and said, "Start from here and go exactly up to where I point." Hearing this, her face turned red with anger. Her lips also began to tremble slightly. I narrowed my eyes and said, "If you don't want to do it, then give the money back." Just as I tried to get up, she instantly grabbed my leg. Her dry voice was barely audible. "No." The power of money ultimately stripped her of the courage to refuse. She slowly got up and came to me on her knees. The deep humiliation was clearly visible on her face. After a while, I stopped her. She looked at me innocently and asked, "What happened?" Steadying my trembling voice, I said, "That's all for today." Hearing my words, a faint smile appeared on her lips. On the outside, I was acting incredibly domineering. But the truth was that I had almost no experience with these kinds of relationships. I never thought that Bai Ningbing would obey my every command so calmly and naturally. I decided in my heart that I needed to assert my dominance now. A little later, while she was organizing things around the house, I said in a strict voice, "What's the need to wear so many clothes inside the house? Take them off." Her movements stopped right there. She was only wearing a t-shirt. If she took that off, she would be left with nothing but her undergarments on top. Her beautiful brows furrowed in anger. She didn't say anything, but it was written all over her face that she absolutely did not want to do this. I repeated the same thing again. "If you aren't in the mood, give the money back." She gritted her teeth. Eventually, she reluctantly put down the item she was holding and slowly took off her t-shirt right in front of my eyes. I looked at her intently. Her figure could truly leave any human stunned. The curves were exactly where they were supposed to be, and her entire body looked incredibly attractive and balanced. Seeing my wide-eyed stare on her, her face turned bright red with anger again. "Feng Wan!" She called my name furiously, but there was nothing she could do. So, she immediately turned toward the bathroom, as if wanting to hide herself from me. I followed right behind her. She was washing her hands. Water droplets were falling on her body, and with every breath, her body trembled slightly. I smiled and said, "There's no need to be so nervous. Come here." She instantly became alert. Before she could say anything, I added, "If you aren't going to return the money." Finally, she glared at me with eyes full of anger and humiliation, but still stood there silently. Giving in at last, she closed her eyes, then turned toward me while gritting her teeth. I nodded in satisfaction. The moment my fingers touched her chest, I felt her body shivering slightly. Everything was incredibly soft and delicate to the touch. I completely ignored the expressions on Bai Ningbing's face. My hand slowly slid further down. The further down I went, the redder Bai Ningbing's face became. She was trembling with rage. Her breathing grew heavier, too. As I continued to tease her, a muffled moan escaped her lips. "Feng Wan," she called my name. I placed a finger of my other hand over her lips. "Can't you stop calling your benefactor by his name all the time? Then what should I call you? Call me Master." Hearing this, Bai Ningbing's face turned purple with anger. Silence hung between the two of us for a long time. In the end, she couldn't bring herself to utter such an embarrassing title, and to be honest, I didn't have any strange fetish like that either. I was just teasing her. I had already derived full satisfaction from tormenting her like this. Whatever methods of annoying her came to my mind, I tested them all out on her. By the time my friend Edo Makoto came to visit me, Bai Ningbing had completely bowed down to her circumstances. She was wearing an apron and cleaning the house like a maid. Edo Makoto's eyes widened. He pulled me aside and whispered, "Are you seriously making Bai Ningbing do all these chores?" I didn't understand his concern. She's already gone bankrupt. What else does she expect? Edo Makoto's face grew serious. Even after going bankrupt, a woman like Bai Ningbing could have 10,000 ways to make a comeback. His worry seemed completely pointless to me because he hadn't seen what I had seen. The way people had humiliated Bai Ningbing. If she truly had any other way out, would she have let herself reach such a state? I said with full confidence, "No, this time she is truly finished." Edo Makoto still didn't believe it. I looked at Bai Ningbing, who was cleaning in the distance. "Bai Ningbing, come here. Tell Edo Makoto yourself. What are you to me now?" Bai Ningbing obediently walked toward me at first, but as soon as she heard my words, she suddenly lifted her head. Humiliation and reluctance were clearly visible on her face. I put my hands on my hips and glared at her. "What happened? You've already taken the money. Are you still too ashamed to admit it?" At the mention of money, she had no other choice left. She stopped in front of me and lowered her gaze. In a very quiet and shame-filled voice, she said, "I am your canary." Edo Makoto, standing nearby, watched all this. His mouth hung wide open in shock. I smiled and said, "See? I wasn't lying to you. If you want, I can use my hands to prove it again." Seeing me reach out my hand toward her again, Bai Ningbing's face filled with fear. No, there's no need for that. Absolutely no need." Bai Ningbing turned around and quietly went back to cleaning. Edo Makoto's lips twitched. A woman like Bai Ningbing would sell herself to this extent for money. I still can't believe it. "And what exactly do you make her do every day?" I stammered. "Now she is completely mine. What else would it be?" Edo Makoto looked at Bai Ningbing once more. It seemed like he was having a really hard time convincing himself. Finally, he let out a long sigh and said, "If it's really like that, then Feng Wan, you've hit the jackpot. You bastard, you're having the time of your life." Shortly after he left, the news spread that Bai Ningbing was living at my house. Friends started messaging me endlessly in our group chat. "Feng Yuan, have you gone crazy? You even messed with Bai Ningbing. What exactly have you done to her?" Even if Bai Ningbing went bankrupt, it's hard to believe she would sell herself. Feng Yuan is living with a beautiful woman like Bai Ningbing. Take care of your health too. Reading the last message, I let out an involuntary scoff. I looked toward the bathroom. Bai Ningbing was completely engrossed in washing my underwear. Just looking at her made my mind wander to all sorts of places. Perhaps my staring was making her feel uncomfortable. She turned around and asked, "What are you looking at?" When she saw my staring gaze, she instantly realized where my eyes were fixed. She quickly covered herself with her hands, her face filled with shame and annoyance. Getting caught in the act made me a little embarrassed too, but the very next moment, I remembered something. I am her sugar daddy now. What is there that I cannot look at? How dare she cover herself? I said with full confidence, "Why are you yelling so much? You're living with me now. All of this is already mine. What's the problem in taking a look? I won't just look. I'll touch, too." Bai Ningbing completely didn't expect me to say something so blunt. Her breath seemed to get stuck in her throat. She couldn't swallow it, nor could she spit it out. Her face turned red again. I slowly started walking toward her. What happened? Did I say something wrong? Why are you so nervous? Could it be that you really have artificial enhancements? If everything turns out to be fake, I will return this deal. As soon as I finished speaking, the expressions on Bai Ningbing's face shifted several times. But upon hearing my last words, she suddenly let out a cold laugh, as if she had made a decision. She started taking off her clothes as she walked toward me. Fine, whether I've had anything done or not. If you want to look, then look as much as you please. I was left completely and utterly dumbfounded. I just kept staring at her. Stripping off her clothes one by one, she came to stand right in front of me in just a few steps. My mind had gone completely blank. She suddenly bent down and started pulling down her pants as well. Right at that moment, there was a loud knocking on the door. In that instant, I felt as if someone had just saved my life. I didn't even have the courage to look at Bai Ningbing again. I immediately turned around and ran to open the door. Who is it? Who is it? I'm coming. I'm coming. As soon as I opened the door, a fashionable and handsome man was standing outside. He asked in a loud voice, "Is Bai Ningbing here?" I recognized him instantly. He was the eldest son of the Ji family, Jibuo. In the past, he had quite a good relationship with Bai Ningbing. Because of what had just happened, my heart was still beating wildly. I quickly stepped aside and pointed toward Bai Ningbing. Jibuo pushed past me and walked straight in. I ran in after him too. I don't know when Bai Ningbing had put all her clothes back on so quickly. She had even put a coat on top, and in her hand was still my underwear, which she hadn't put down yet. When Jibuo's eyes fell on the item Bai Ningbing was holding in her hand, his eyes instantly turned red. He glared at me angrily and said, "How could you make Sister Ningbing do such a thing?" I scratched my head and said, "To be honest, I didn't tell her to wash it. She started washing it on her own." Bai Ningbing didn't even look at us. She went back into the bathroom, turned on the tap, and started washing again. Jibuo's heart broke. He stepped forward, grabbed Bai Ningbing's hand, and pulled her toward him. "Sister Ning, don't degrade yourself like this. How much money did he give you? I'll give you double. Come with me." Hearing this, my heart started pounding loudly. The Ji family was far richer than mine. I knew that if there was a bidding war, I probably wouldn't be able to compete with him. I immediately approached Bai Ningbing cautiously and looked at her with helpless eyes. All my arrogance from a little while ago had vanished. I should have treated her a bit better earlier. What if she felt that I was not only poor but also stingy and chose another sugar daddy instead? But just then, Bai Ningbing cast a glance at me. Then she said to Jibuo, "No need." After hearing this, I felt as if my whole world had lit up. Oh God! Amazing Bai Ningbing! My newly brought home canary turned out to be so loyal. Jibuo became even more restless hearing this. What does he have against you? Tell me. I will definitely help you. Bai Ningbing kept working. Her voice was completely calm. He doesn't hold anything against me. It's nothing like that. I took his money, so I have to keep my promise. Standing nearby, I felt emotional hearing all this. This was the woman I had always wanted to have. She had her own principles. I nodded repeatedly. Absolutely right. I have already paid. You can leave now. But Jibuo became even sadder hearing this. He glared at me and said, "How much money do you even have? How much can you give to Sister Ningbing? And on top of that, you insulted her with your money. You've made Sister Ningbing your mistress. In just a few days, I will take her place." Hearing this, I was shocked again. This was the first time I had become someone's sugar daddy. I hadn't yet learned the habit of paying up front and calculating later. Including the bar bill, I remembered that I had spent a total of only about 300 yuan on Bai Ningbing. That meant it was only for 3 days. Perhaps Bai Ningbing remembered this too. She looked me up and down. Then a faint smile appeared on her lips. "By the way, I almost forgot. Miss Feng, you have only kept me for 3 days. Tomorrow, I will be free." She looked straight into my eyes. "Isn't that right, Miss Feng?" Alarm bells started ringing in my head. Before I could say anything, Jibo let out a cold laugh. He threw a bank card at me. "Feng Yuan, you are too stingy. There are 200,000 yuan here. I am taking her right now." He actually started to take Bai Ningbing away. I immediately stiffened my neck and said, "I am not ready to sublet. There's also the right of first refusal." "How can you jump in the middle?" He laughed again. Then he pulled out another card. 500,000. I scrunched my nose and said, "What do you think I am? Am I that poor?" He said, 2 million. No need to bid any higher. For our family, this is not a big amount." "Fine, 5 million, I quickly said. "Just stop right there." He said in a calm tone, 20 million. Hearing this amount, I fell silent. 20 million yuan. I didn't even get 400,000 a month for my pocket money. 20 million meant my entire expenses for 4 years. Seeing the expression on my face, Jibo smiled arrogantly. "See, Sister Ningbing? He can't afford to keep you." I looked at Bai Ningbing. Suddenly, I felt very helpless. If I kept her with me, I would have to spend a huge chunk of my pocket money on her every month. But if I gave her to Jibo, I wouldn't need to ask my family for money for the next 4 years. If I spend time with her tonight first and give her to Jibo tomorrow, I wouldn't incur a loss either. Until now, Bai Ningbing had a candy-dry, calm, and indifferent expression on her face, but seeing them now, it seemed as if cracks were slowly starting to form. I cautiously said to Jibo, "Do one thing, come back tomorrow." But before I could finish my sentence, Bai Ningbing stopped me with a cold voice. "Enough! Just what do you guys think I am?" She looked at Jibo with stern eyes. "Mr. Ji, are you intentionally insulting me by bidding like this?" "I am bankrupt. I am in a terrible state, but I still have my dignity. I am not some commodity for the two of you to trade back and forth." Then she looked at me. "If Miss Feng just considers me a bargaining chip, then I will leave from here tomorrow itself. I will earn my own living with my own hands. I won't humiliate myself anymore." Saying this, Bai Ningbing turned around angrily. She went straight into the bathroom and locked the door from the inside. Only Jibo and I were left outside. We both looked at each other in shock. We apologized. We tried to coax her, but she didn't answer a single word we said. Jibo stood outside the door and kept trying to persuade her for a long time. Eventually, with tears in his eyes, he had to leave. I kept looking at her blurry silhouette visible behind the frosted glass. Then I softly said, "Bai Ningbing, please forgive me. I didn't mean it that way." A cold laugh was the only sound that came from inside. I tried to explain again. "I've already brought you to my house. I bought so many things for you. Of course, I consider you as my own person." About 2 hours later, she finally responded for the first time. There was cold sarcasm in her voice. "When the 20 million yuan bid was placed in front of you for the first time, do you dare to say that you didn't think of selling me, even for a moment?" Hearing this, I fell silent for a few seconds. After all, 20 million yuan wasn't a small amount. I wasn't rich like him. Was it wrong to get tempted for a moment? I knew the fault was mine. I softly said, "Bai Ningbing, sorry." "Fine. Now that you've come to my house, I promise, in the future, no matter how much money someone offers, I will never get greedy." But she asked in a cold voice, "What if someone offers 100 million? Hearing this, I fell silent again. Don't test me like this. Which human in the world could easily pass such a test? When she saw that I couldn't answer, her self-respect was wounded once more. A slight hint of sadness entered her voice. Fine. I understand." Now I had nothing left to say. I just kept pacing back and forth restlessly in the living room. Night fell, and when I helplessly called out to her for the 8th time, "Bai Ningbing, I am very hungry," she finally came out with a cold face. She cooked food for me. Then, without saying a word, she went back into the guest bedroom and locked the door from the inside. Her intention to sever all ties with me was very firm. When I saw that neither love nor strictness was working, I felt completely helpless. It seems she really will leave tomorrow. I thought to myself, whatever happens, we'll see. Bai Ningbing, even if you are leaving tomorrow, don't forget that you are still mine today. As long as you are my canary, you have to fulfill the responsibilities of a canary. Silence fell over the room for a few moments. Then a soft voice came. "What do you want?" I replied without wasting a single moment. "Tonight, I want to sleep with you." Because until now, all the time had just been spent in talking. I had never actually reached that point with her. Now that she was about to leave, I had to at least take this final opportunity. 2 minutes later, the guest bedroom door slowly opened. Bai Ningbing was only wearing a nightgown. In the dim yellow light, her face looked incredibly beautiful. She asked, "Are you sure?" Looking at her, I said, "Yes." My gaze slowly traveled downward. I subconsciously swallowed my saliva. Yes, absolutely. Perhaps because she had already made the decision to leave, Bai Ningbing didn't argue with me. She just wanted to complete her final day properly. And then I realized that she wasn't completely inexperienced. In fact, she was genuinely very, very good at it. I could barely control myself. After getting close to each other several times, I collapsed on the bed, completely exhausted. She leaned in close to my ear. Her soft, heavy voice began to echo in my ears. "But you said at least 7 times. Her heavy breathing and the warmth of her lips started making me restless all over again. When I opened my eyes the next morning, there was no one beside me. I called out several times, "Bai Ningbing!" But no answer came. All the things I had bought for her were still kept in the house. But the entire house felt empty. Bai Ningbing was gone. Now I was certain. Until last night, we had been so close to each other, and today she had left without even looking back. Although I was the first one to entertain the thought of selling her, could she really be this heartless? After restlessly pacing around the room multiple times, I sat down on the sofa in despair. Everything from the past 2 days started replaying in my mind. How I used to boss her around. How amazing her figure was. How perfectly she did every chore. And in my anger, I had pushed her away from me myself. I took a deep breath. Then I picked up my mobile. I was just about to watch some videos when my friend sent me a barrage of messages. "Feng Yuan, look at this quickly! What is going on? Didn't you keep Bai Ningbing as your sugar baby? Then why is she delivering food now? And look at her luck. She got an order straight in the neighborhood of rich, spoiled brats. Man, I feel so sorry for her. Now I understand why scholars in the olden days used to go rescue courtesans. Even I feel like saving her." Below the messages was a video. In the video, at the gate of a residential society, Bai Ningbing was wearing a delivery company's uniform. She had a small helmet on her head. Her pants were torn in 2 places. Some rich boys had surrounded her and were mocking her. One of them said, "What do you mean you had an accident on the way? According to the platform, you are 13 minutes late, Miss Bai. Why are you acting so pitiful? Who are you showing all this to?" Another said, "Fine, we won't report you. But first, get on your knees and apologize to my sister. Then the matter is settled. Will you kneel or not?" Bai Ningbing stood there with her head bowed, just as always. She was apologizing continuously. Looking at her, she seemed even more helpless and vulnerable than that night outside the bar. Seeing this made my blood boil. I instantly stood up. Damn it! How dare these people harass my little golden canary? I immediately asked my friend, "When did this happen?" He replied, "Just now." Recognizing the background in the video, I knew the place. It was right near my house. I immediately grabbed my keys and ran outside. When I got there, their humiliation was still ongoing. I shouted loudly, "Enough!" Everyone turned to look at me all at once. I pulled a stack of notes from my bag and threw it at them. "What's all this noise about? So what if she's 13 minutes late? Don't you know she is mine?" The two of us had a little argument, which is why she came out to deliver food. And how dare you guys harass her? Here's the money for your food, and here is your tip. If you don't want to become newspaper headlines, pick up the money and get out of here. Initially, everyone took me lightly. But as soon as they recognized me, their faces changed. My father's company might not be the biggest, but most people in our circle didn't dare mess with me. They whispered among themselves for a while. Then they glared at me and left. Bai Ningbing was still standing there, neither bowing her head nor showing arrogance. Like a white flower blooming in a storm, my heart ached. I wiped the dirt off her face. Then I said softly, "Ning, see? Isn't it much better to come back to my house? Look how badly people treat you outside." She bit her lip. She didn't say anything. Just then, my eyes fell on her torn pants. There was a little blood on the edges. She was probably hurt underneath. I reached out my hand to check, but she immediately backed away. She drew in a sharp breath in pain. I panicked. "Does it hurt a lot?" She subconsciously nodded at first, then immediately denied it. Sniffling, she said, "Do you really care?" I quickly said, "Of course I do. I came running to save you." "Doesn't that prove my sincerity? Quick, let me see how bad the wound is." But she still wouldn't let me touch her. Sticking her neck out stubbornly, she said, "Am I just a toy to you? If I break or get ruined, you will just get another one. So what is the need to look?" Her face was cold, but there was a faint sob hidden in her voice, like a proud child who had been abandoned. I hurriedly said, "No, it's not like that. I said I would take responsibility for you, so I will fulfill my responsibility. Don't deliver food anymore. Come back to my house with me." Bai Ningbing bit her lip. She kept looking at me. Gradually, her eyes filled with grievances. Then she asked in a low voice, "Go back to your house? And who knows, maybe tomorrow someone else will offer a higher price and you will sell me again." She still hadn't completely forgotten the trauma of going bankrupt. Perhaps what she feared the most now was someone betraying her. Looking at her, my desire to protect her grew even stronger. Believe me, even if someone offered me $1 billion, I would never sell you. Really, never. Ultimately, Bai Ningbing reluctantly came back home with me. Just then, I suddenly remembered something. I quickly turned and reminded her. "And yes, Bai Ningbing, even though I've brought you back, you are still my canary. Your responsibilities haven't changed. Yes, but I will still be the sugar daddy." Saying this, I started feeling a little guilty myself. Bai Ningbing just looked at me silently. Then she nodded. She became obedient, just like always. I said a bit hesitantly, "So, at home, first take off your top t-shirt." Bai Ningbing froze for a moment. Then she instantly understood what I was saying. She glared at me angrily, but still quietly took off her t-shirt. "Is this okay?" Yes, absolutely, absolutely." I kept nodding my head. Then I said, "And the pants too." I was just about to remind her that she needed to change her pants too. But then I saw she had already comfortably sat on the sofa. She had taken off her pants and started putting on fresh clothes. Hearing my words, she looked up. What happened? What I had just seen started spinning in my mind. Then some memories from last night also came back. My face turned red. I stammered, "Nothing. Let me go get the first aid box first." I never knew before that Bai Ningbing had such a low tolerance for pain. Because of falling from the electric scooter, she had scrapes on both her knees. While I was applying the medicine, she would draw in a sharp breath in pain at the slightest touch. I had no other option. I applied the medicine very slowly. Then I started gently blowing on the wound. Only then did she stop moaning in pain. While packing up the first aid box, I couldn't stop myself and blurted out, "Who is actually being kept here? You or me?" She blinked innocently. "But I do all the household chores, and that too in a maid's dress." Hearing her words, I had no answer left. She was right. Because every day, upon my orders, Bai Ningbing would wear that same maid's dress. She obeyed my every command. She did whatever I told her to. She also did all the household chores with full dedication. Many times, hearing my words, her face would turn red with anger. Her whole body would tremble slightly. But she wouldn't say anything. She just silently endured it all. Seeing her red face full of anger, I would feel a strange kind of happiness. But my good days didn't last very long. One day, suddenly, my father came to my house. Because the news of me keeping Bai Ningbing had spread throughout the elite circle. Some rich kids were jealous of me because Bai Ningbing had come to me first. But even more than them, there were those who used to be Bai Ningbing's enemies. When she ruled the business world, she was always someone who made strict decisions. No one dared to speak up in front of her. But as soon as she fell, her old enemies didn't sit quietly. By keeping her with me, I hadn't just eased her debt, but also protected her from people's malicious eyes. But because of this, I myself became their target. And in the business world, there is never a shortage of ways to attack. First, my father's company was attacked. Papa placed his hand on his chest and said, "Feng Yuan, can't we stop keeping her with us?" Shocked, I started checking the company's shares. Looking at the continuously dropping shares, instead of red, everything was appearing completely green. I became deeply conflicted inside. After all, I had made a promise to Bai Ningbing. When I had kept her with me, she was my responsibility. Who would have thought things would reach this point? Papa started showing me the company's condition. Almost every employee was terrified. Worry was clearly visible on everyone's faces, as if they could lose their jobs at any moment. Among them were many uncles and aunts who had watched me grow up since childhood. Their hair had become whiter than before. I started feeling incredibly guilty. Because of my stubbornness, so many people were in trouble. I couldn't ignore my family, but I couldn't figure out how to say this to Bai Ningbing. Meanwhile, Bai Ningbing didn't know anything yet. She was setting up the food on the dining table, wearing her maid's dress as always. 3 dishes and 1 soup, all my favorites. If I had gotten such food on any other day, I would have definitely found a way to make her happy. But today, I just took a couple of bites and then went straight to my room. I lay on the bed and kept thinking for a very long time. Just then, someone entered the room. The mattress dipped slightly behind me. Her body's familiar scent spread throughout the room. For a while, I didn't move at all. Then Bai Ningbing's soft voice could be heard. "What happened today? Why are you so sad?" I hadn't been able to think of anything yet, so I just brushed it off, saying, "It's that time of the month, maybe." Perhaps she understood that I was in a bad mood. Without saying a word, she lifted the blanket and lay down next to me. She took me in her arms, then placed her warm hands on my temples. "Let me massage your head." I wanted to refuse, but I was afraid she might start overthinking, so I let her do it. Her fingers slowly began massaging my temples. In just a little while, I started feeling very relaxed. I asked, "Bai Ningbing, since when do you know how to do all this?" She smiled faintly. "I am just teaching you a little bit." A few more days passed, but Papa still hadn't found any solution to the company's problem. Every day, the shares were falling even lower. I couldn't delay it any longer. I mentally practiced several times how to tell Bai Ningbing that I could no longer keep her with me. I took a deep breath and opened the bedroom door. Bai Ningbing was sitting with her back to me. She was in front of the computer. The screen was still on. I walked up to her. Just then, my eyes fell on the large words written on the screen. "How a kept woman can win her sugar daddy's heart, the complete guide." I was still standing there in shock when Bai Ningbing closed that webpage with lightning speed. Then she turned to me and asked, "What happened?" I pointed toward the computer. "What were you just looking at?" she said. "You already saw it." "Then why are you asking?" I was still debating whether to tell the truth or not. Finally, I said, "Yes, I saw it." She let out a soft sigh. "It's fine. Your interest in me has been fading these days. You don't touch me, don't hug me, don't sleep with me. I feel like I'm about to lose my job." The more she spoke, the softer her voice became. In the end, a slight hint of grievance could be heard in her voice. "Have you found someone outside who you like more than me?" Hearing this, I was taken aback for a moment. Although I hadn't found anyone else, perhaps she genuinely felt that she was going to lose her job. My hesitation, my constant wavering, none of it had escaped Bai Ningbing's eyes. She lowered her gaze. "So that's how it is. It's okay. I never fully believed those things you said from the beginning anyway. Things like I will never leave you. After all, every person gets bored one day. I can understand. It's just that the trouble that happened on the food delivery platform last time, I don't know if I'll even get work there again." She bit her lip. The gleam of stubbornness and refusal to accept defeat was clearly visible in her eyes. Seeing her this strong made my guilt increase even more. I pulled her into my arms. "Bai Ningbing, please forgive me." The moment I apologized, Her whole body went completely stiff. The atmosphere between us also suddenly turned cold. The truth is, I can no longer keep you with me. Because ever since I brought you with me, my father's company has been constantly targeted by people. The company is on the verge of ruin. Even though I really like you a lot, I am helpless. As soon as I said this, it suddenly felt as if the coldness in the room had vanished. Bai Ningbing looked at me. What did you just say? No, not the part about your family. And not the part about your father's company being targeted either. The line after that. The one where you said you like me. I felt a bit embarrassed. Yes, I really do like you. A faint smile appeared on her face. Then she hugged me gently. That is enough for me. Bai Ningbing needed a little time to find a new place to live. Therefore, she couldn't leave my house that very day. But now that everything was clear, there was no burden left on my heart. I thought that as long as she is here, I should spend every moment with her. After all, once she leaves, I would never be able to spend time with her like this again. Perhaps Bai Ningbing understood what was in my heart too. She started taking care of me even more than before, day and night, without getting tired. Gradually, I started feeling like I didn't want to let her go at all. I told Papa to hold on for a few more days. He said he understood. But the strange thing was, right after that day, our company's shares started climbing up again. I was completely shocked. I hadn't even told anyone yet that I was going to leave Bai Ningbing's side. Then how did everything change so suddenly? After this, even stranger things started happening. The companies that had teamed up to attack our business, one by one, their tax evasions, substandard products, and many other frauds started coming to light. Now they didn't even have time to deal with their own problems, let alone plotting against us. Papa called me. Laughing loudly, he said, "See? This is always the fate of bad people." After he laughed, I asked softly, "So can I continue keeping Bai Ningbing now?" Hearing my words, Papa's laughter stopped instantly. "Feng Yuan, let them get out of this trouble first. Once these people recover, they will target us again," I replied softly. "Okay." After hanging up the phone, I turned around. Bai Ningbing was silently mopping the floor as always. Seeing her, my heart swelled with emotion. I gently squeezed her hip. In 2 days, I probably wouldn't even be able to touch her. So let me feel it a little more. She silently nodded, as always. But 2 days later, the multiple companies that had targeted us declared bankruptcy one after another. Papa was utterly bewildered. How did this happen? These weren't some small-time companies. How did they all get destroyed at once? I shrugged. I don't understand business that well. How would I know? But inside, I was incredibly happy. Now I could live with Bai Ningbing again. I exchanged a few quick words with Papa and hastily hung up the phone. Then I headed toward my room. But before opening the door, I heard someone talking inside. Ever since Bai Ningbing had gone bankrupt, people only mocked her. No one ever contacted her themselves. So who was she talking to? I became curious. I gently pressed my ear against the door. Just then, I heard Bai Ningbing's calm voice. So what if I didn't go bankrupt? Anyone who spouts nonsense in front of him is destined to be ruined. Hearing this, my mind went completely numb. Didn't go bankrupt? Who? Bai Ningbing? The same Bai Ningbing whom I kept pinned under me and tormented every day? I was so shocked that I didn't even hear the sound of footsteps approaching the door. I just stood there like a statue. The door opened. Bai Ningbing came out. Our eyes met. I stood rooted to the spot, completely stunned. On the other hand, she got a little flustered too. You finished talking to Papa so quickly? I started stammering. Yeah, I was just talking to Papa. Oh, she looked at me intently. Did you hear something? I quickly shook my head. No, I didn't hear anything. Not at all. She slightly narrowed her eyes. Then why are you so nervous? I immediately turned around. No, I'm just very happy. I have to go to the washroom. But I couldn't even take half a step. Bai Ningbing grabbed my wrist and pulled me back toward her. She bumped straight into my arms. Then she let out a light chuckle. Feng Yuan, do you know that whenever you lie, you always touch your ear? This habit is very cute. Hearing this, everything went dark before my eyes. I was done for. From the way she was talking, it was clear that she had never truly gone bankrupt. As soon as I remembered everything I had done to her, I felt like dying out of shame. You let me go. But she grabbed me even tighter with both hands. What happened? Last night, you were the one saying I shouldn't go anywhere outside. As soon as she brought up last night, I completely broke down. I covered my face with both hands in shame. Enough. Don't say anymore. You weren't bankrupt, yet you let me keep you. How can you be so weird? She lifted her head, then gently bit my ear. Feng Wan, you were the one who brought up the idea of keeping me. So who is the weird one? Me or you? I instantly admitted, I am the weird one. I quickly placed my hand over her mouth. That was just humanity, compassion. I didn't want my old rival to suffer so much outside. I had almost shut her mouth completely. But she wasn't angry at all. On the contrary, she slowly stuck out her tongue and gently licked my palm. As soon as I felt the touch of her warm and slightly moist tongue, it felt as if a jolt of electricity ran through my entire body. Every single hair on my body stood on end. Bai Ningbing said with an incredibly attractive smile, "If you truly didn't want me to suffer, there were plenty of other ways to do it. Feng Wan, do you really think you were humiliating me, or were you rewarding me?" Hearing her words, I remembered all those moments when I used to torment Bai Ningbing, her face turning red, her flushed ears, her trembling body. So that wasn't out of anger? Just thinking about this made my scalp go numb. Bai Ningbing, how can you be so weird? She placed another light kiss on my neck. Feng Wan, don't you like this? Her tongue intentionally began tracing over my sensitive spots slowly. I completely lost my self-control. I grabbed Bai Ningbing and threw her straight onto the bed. Just wait and see today. If I let you off, my name isn't Feng Yuan. In the end, Bai Ningbing confessed everything. She was no longer pretending. I, too, had stopped caring about my dignity as a sugar daddy. No matter how many times she said no, I didn't listen to a single word of hers. The next day, my condition was such that I couldn't even get out of bed. I was huddled under the blanket in anger. I wasn't even showing my face. Just then, Bai Ningbing came near my bed with a plate of hot breakfast. I poked my head out of the blanket and said angrily, "Are you trying to lure me out with food?" With a lazy smile, she said, "Feng Yuan, even when you're angry, you look very cute." Hearing this, my face turned red all over again. Thanks for watching this incredible story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories uploaded regularly. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next story.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.